all of you. I hope you have attempted your prelims examination well. This time the examination was slightly difficult if I have to judge it from the reference of past few years, 4-5 years. But then also it is best to our stride to start preparing for our main. And basically I am right here in front of you to give you the outline of how we have planned the swift revision, content building, time management, maintenance and development of thought process involving all the important topics of our geography optional syllabus in a very dedicated and designed test series. When we talk about the test series program, you have got plentiful choices available with you. What makes my test series different from all the other available test series is that I handle everything myself, and it is the experience that I count for more than 20 years in training civil services aspirants. I surely ensure all of you that this will be such fruitful experience of not just timely covering the revision of your syllabus, but also trying to generate the confidence in deciphering some of the terms that appears in our question paper, which is considered to be out of box content. Second important challenge that we have been experiencing when we attempt main examination is involving the format with which I need to write the answer. We are gone away from those days where there was a requirement of filling up the pages to project our viewpoint to examiner. Now it is to be absolute at the pinpoint reference, and that is the reason for the 2020 main I very essentially advise that we develop infographics, diagrammatic flowchart oriented approach of answer writing, and that is not just going to give convincing argument to examiner making me score better, it surely will enhance my confidence towards writing practice. All these is what will be fulfilling in our dedicated planned test series that will be targeting 2020 main altogether. The details of it is what I want to share now with you. So if I have to take the details of the syllabus as we have charted out, what exactly is the objective, what exactly is the orientation that we are going to follow to make the things work for us, and we need to be very cautious with the fact that available time with us is also limited. So few things I have already written on the board so that we can save time in regards to that. Division of the syllabus, we have attached the file with this video so you can go through the details of that. We have divided the syllabus into, of course, paper 1 and 2, but our prime focus is static and dynamic part. And there are 4 defined tests that will be comprehensive tests, 2 each for paper 1 and paper 2. All of us will agree that static and dynamic is something which is difficult for us to draw the boundary line of. Agreed. But when we take the reference of the topics that are there in our syllabus, specifically if I just utilize this space and write it up, the conventional heads in paper 1 is quite significantly defined. Whether I talk about fundamental principles of physical geography or I talk about fundamental principles of human geography. In both the categories, I have got many conventional heads which is related to defined process, which is related to defined concept, and I must be aware of them because these are the topics that are prominent in developing what is called geographical orientations of the study. And until unless we generate that, it certainly becomes difficult for us to apply logical answer building skill. And what exactly is meant by dynamic? We all can understand paper 2 is essentially dynamic in nature. Paper 1 also have got many topics which are dynamic in nature. Energy security concerns. We are talking about mobilization of renewable energy. Food insecurity in the reference of the present pandemic, modifications in the economic opportunities, environmental challenges in reference to the present global scenario, which is largely the outcome of COVID-19. You can keep on adding that. Modifications in the global trading pattern because of the standoff that we are noticing, not just between USA and China, but also the prominent attempt and quite convincing attempts that we are noticing in the recent past of somewhere sidelining, somewhere segregating China, which has been given recognition by major world powers as the country that has utilized the pandemic time precisely to showcase its territorial aggressive nature. So paper 1 is not having dynamic aspect will be wrong thing. It has got many topics. Rather, if I am just taking any conventional head into my study, I am taking into account models, any model randomly you try to pick up. Zelensky propounded mobility transition model, and this mobility transition model is dating back to 1970s. Even today, 2020, we mark its validity. So what you are doing, you are taking conventional head interlinked with dynamic one. So divide of the syllabus as per the charted out topics, you can certainly see, but what I'll insist on is that with 4 tests out of 10 tests oriented towards comprehensive syllabus coverage is certainly the most important aspect that I see with this test series, because it is going to give you the outline of how to go about maximum number possible with the total examination oriented test paper, and that is what is very important. When we talk about the part number 2, objectives that we are willing to serve with the reference of this test series program. So objectives I have charted out some, I want to write more of them. Each one of them is important in its own domain, and we need to take up the reference of each one of them. So before I enlarge these 2 points that I have already written, let me just add a few more, because we need to make sense with logic. What is my ultimate objective? My ultimate objective is to get into the services, and to get into the services I need to score better. And if I have to score better, I need to take geographic perspective if geography is my optional. And you need to take the logic of integration of the things. So updation, diagrams, infographic with the time man. So let us focus on our step number 2. What is the objective that we are trying to fulfill with this program? The objective that we are trying to fulfill with this program has got 4-fold dimension. It is enhancement of your understanding. I am talking about content understanding. You will say, I am already aware of content. I am already aware of content. I have prepared geography optional main paper. But here the term that I have underlined is enhancement. Because what you need to understand is that I have prepared a very conventional head of my geomorphology, and that reads volcanism. Now you are taking the different claims and counter claims being made, that you need to stick to the notes that are being prepared and you don't need to go beyond, and it is more than sufficient. You need to be very cautious, and all of you are intelligent enough to understand that none of the notes actually comes up with a full stop to it. And you need to make sense with that until unless you are utilizing your own perspective, which cannot be there without reading the fundamental text, you will find stuck up somewhere in solving out the papers. Because when we take up the account of pseudo-volcanic feature, when we take up the reference of distinctive type of volcanic eruption, when we talk about island arc development, you pick up any of the conventional notes that are being circulated, you will not find the coverage of that. So when I say enhancement of content understanding, it is that there are many hidden terms, there are many hidden concepts that is required to be brushed up, pushed into forefront, and if you don't do so, you certainly will lose out on the possible potential marks. So our first objective of this program is to push up and enhance your content understanding with the main focus on different set of terminology, which I always use the expression hidden topics of our syllabus. Second objective that we want to serve up here is comprehension of demand of questions. You know, it's a myth that I have understood the content is equal to I can comprehend the demand of the question. They relate. Until unless I am aware of the content, I cannot make sense with the question. Agreed. Focus here is not, and this is something which is done so many times that I think that it gives us a sort of saturation, that everyone is discussing about, if the question is talking about explain, discuss, elaborate, elucidate, critically examine, examine. You need to take what approach of writing. You know, that is not the purpose that you are already aware of. Purpose here is, question is asking for how many things I miss out on a point of the question, and that is the reason I reduce my maximum marks. If my maximum marks is reduced, automatically my possibility of scoring better is reduced. So you understand the concept, then only you can understand the question. Agreed. But never ever believe, because it's a wrong belief. It's something that can be taken up as blind belief, that I know the content, I know what is the demand of the question. No, you don't know it. You need to practice the demand of the question. What exactly the question is asking you to focus on? Which are the dimensions? And let me write that term here. What are the dimensions that are being asked to be covered in a given asked question? It by default varies from one question to the other. So objective number 2 for this test series, which makes it different from any other test series, is that it is oriented towards pushing you towards making sense with the demand of the questions. The third objective that is again very crucial, and it is never ever highlighted otherwise, is your viewpoint development. And I insist on the term subjectivity. When I say viewpoint development, you need to understand that I have to integrate spatial dimensions, or I need to integrate scholars to develop this geographical perspective when I am writing the answer to convince a geographer to give me marks to qualify for this examination. So when it is viewpoint development, all of us read Savindra Singh, all of us have got Gochi Leong, all of us read R.C. Tiwari or Khullar, all of us read Yojana Kurukshetra, all of us have got the availability of entire range of other study material within quotes and boldly underline available in the market. But why we fail to score out? Because we try to find out the shortcuts to it, that we take to develop that shortcut stream, that it will work for me. It's a wrong approach, and you precisely is putting full 1 year into risk if you take that shortcut in this given point in time. When I say viewpoint development with subjectivity and geographical perspective, you have got so many examples: women empowerment, river water linkages, tribal area development, water resource management, urban town planning problems, anything that you want to take up into reference, global resource distribution, locational characteristics of primary, secondary and tertiary activities. Mind it, these are the topics of our syllabus, which is there in optional and which is there in general studies, paper 1 and paper 3. Now, if you are a geographer and you are writing these topics from the optional paper perspective, how the content is going to be different from what you will be writing in your general studies. Don't you think it requires our focus? We are so much made confused with read this, read that, read that. This is sufficient, and once you take that sufficient notes as is claimed and get on to the reading up of the question, you precisely find, no, I'm lost. This examination do not provide, and I repeat it on records, this examination do not provide you any possibility whatsoever of shortcuts. And anyone who is claiming that there is a shortcut to qualify this examination, that there are cheat codes for this examination, is simply fooling you. You need to be intelligent, and all of you are intelligent enough to decide on that. So subjectivity is very important thing, and that is what I'll be, and I will be. We will not be. I will be making you understand. Because here in the center, everything is being attempted with a dedicated individualistic approach, and that is what is the focal point that we take up here. You don't need to run from pillar to post, because the questions will be discussed right here with me. This work is done by that, content developer is other person, paper checker is other person, question paper setter is other person, and the face in front is some other person. By default is making the attempt of aspirants going in vain. I don't believe in that. There is no hidden face working. I'll be working for you. And then the fourth objective, which is again as crucial as the first three, updation. That is the reason I have already started, and it was there continuously since the COVID lockdown time. Yojana Kurukshetra review references of YouTube videos, because these humble magazines are the must sources for your content building and desired updation. Anything that you are attempting to write down, you are writing answer on a very conventional head of EIA. It is not done if you are not updating it with the amendment that has got its all share of controversies attached to it. You have to update. Diagrams integration with infographics, because very strong term that is written in the instructions of your question come answer booklet is, of course, every question has got maximum marks, every question has got word limit, but the instruction that I am emphasizing on reads that quality is given more weightage than quantity. So when you have to develop that quality, you need to develop the capacity of presenting examiner with all the dimensions that can be related to as per the demand of the question that you are answering. So infographics, diagrams, drawing, that evolves, that comes spontaneous when you are in the practice of it. And every infographic and diagram by default requires updation. And that is the reason our approach of model answers and discussion will not be with the subjectivities of the page filling. It will be oriented towards the different flow charts and diagrams development, because that is more convincing. That gives examiner much thumping evidence that yes, this aspirant is aware of the viewpoint and is giving me the convincing argument. Let it be that it is in the unconventional track. Fourfold objectives that we will be serving in this program. And the final thing that I want to speak about, and I have already written it here, what will be the approach that will be following when it comes to this test series program. The approach is individualistic, dedicated, result oriented. When I say that approach is individualistic, I'll be available in your pre-test, test discussion, evaluation and post-test discussions also. We all are in a different level. We all are different individuals. We all have different perspective to look at things. There cannot be any general kind of approach that can be applied. I can be weak in certain aspect and I can be the master of another aspect. And it is applied to you also. There are certain topics which the science background students for geography optional finds very easy, specifically the physical principles. But for them to build up content towards human geography, economic geography, or the perspectives in development of human geography is a difficult task. And there are certain students who are very good at these points, but find the scientific, semi-scientific topics of our syllabus difficult. So we will be following the approach that is individualistic. Our focus will be for each one of you. We will be making sure that every individual is being groomed up of the strength that they possess and help them to overcome whatsoever individual challenges that they experience in terms of presenting themselves, in terms of developing confidence of writing. Dedicated, because we are taking it absolutely as 2020, dedicated as per the changing demand of the question, dedicated with the single point purpose what are the expected natures of the question that will be targeting here, because when I say dedicated, I am essentially talking about upcoming main and result oriented. Bottom line of everything is that we are involving us with this program because we want to attain success in the competitive examination which I am believing that I'll be appearing for. I just wanted to give you an outlay of what exactly is the reason that you should come up and join me in place of any other option available with you, is to convince you that this approach is absolutely, this program is absolutely, this orientation is absolutely focusing on helping you out in fulfillment of cherished dream. So again, come on board and try to make maximum utilization of available time. I am more than happy to help you out with all these. Happy learning. All the very best to all of you.